Welcome back, guys. We're at a very, very snowy Donington Park. And here we go. Off for race 1, the sprint race, which is 8 laps. Coming down towards Redgate. Bidzster got pole position. Bidzster was on pole position, so he starts at the front. Let's have a look, see if everyone gets around the first corner. Cones flying everywhere. Neil's slow. Neil is slow. Coming down towards the crane of curves. A little bit of a battle further back, and here we go. Down the crane of curves. Very, very slow. Oh, Jamo's off in the background, and so is Sean, I think. Coming down to the old hairpin. Stevie goes up the inside of Blakeney. Neil's coming through after his little off at the foot. Oh, Stevie and Blakeney contact. And meanwhile at the front, Bidzster's in front. TY, Blakeney, Stevie, Neil, Keith, Jay. I have to say hats off to the BMW drivers in this weather, because there will be hardly any grip, as Keith's even showing us in the front wheel drive Megane. Sean's right up behind Jay. And meanwhile there's a battle for the lead going on. Bidzster is just in front of TY. Coming down towards the chicane. Into the brakes. Do not want to lock up into here. Oh, Bidzster understeers, goes over the sausage curves, loses speed, but I think TY did the same. Coming back to the previous battle behind Blakeney. Stevie is there. He's in the He's actually chosen Mercedes now, just to confuse you from the last race where he was in the Megane. Right, coming down towards Redgate is I think Sean might be making a move on Jay. Is he? Yes. Onto the brakes. And the Opel slides at the inside. Nice neat move. And on we go. Meanwhile, Bidzster and TY are still together at the front. Move that overview off so we can see a bit better. Still ahead, and let's have a look further back, see what's happening. We've got Jay and Sean still battling it out. And Sean is the victor of that battle, I think. Oh no, he's understeering wide. The BMW might be able to, if he can get the traction down, get closer. No, still stays as it is for now. And we've got a little bit of a battle here coming onto the straight. We've got Stevie in 3rd, and then the battle for 4th. Neil, followed by Blakeney, followed by Keith. Into the chicane. See how they go through here. All nice and neat through there. Everyone's doing well on the snow so far. Treacherous conditions. But we do, on this championship, we do replicate the weather to what it is actually like on the day that we do it. It's the current date, current weather, everything. So, because Britain's been hit with this snow flurry recently, in this end of February into March, we are obviously running in snow, which makes a change. You never see touring cars in snow, but here at Neo Racing we like to provide you with the odd sort of things. Blakeney's got Keith right behind him. Actually, I think there's a bit more of a gap than what I've realised there, so we'll just keep watching them going round. Meanwhile, between Bidzster and TY, it's still a 1 second gap. I think the Beamer's having a decent battle back here. Jamo's got in front of Jay in the fight of the rear wheel drives on snow. Brave men, very brave men. You can just see the battle for traction with these BMWs. You can see coming out of here, they'll put the power on and they'll really struggle for the traction. The both of them being very, very careful. You can see Jay in the background there, just a little twitch, being very careful, which is good driving by both of them. I think there's a little battle going on for... Yes, there is battle going on for 3rd position. Stevie's having to defend from Neil. Neil moves out to the left. Is it going to be a feint though? Is he going to move back up to the inside? You've got to be careful darting about on the snow, because it's going to be very treacherous. And on the brakes, Neil, Stevie goes wide on the brakes. Neil pops up the inside. There's a little feint, and it resumes 3rd place. Stevie might have a little little bit more of a bite at the cherry going down towards Old Hairpin if he can keep close, but no, I think Neil's pulled out just enough gap on him to maintain the gap to that for that position. So that's good. Oh, Neil runs wide, and Stevie goes back through. Well, it just shows you all it takes is one little outbreak on this snow, and that's it. Meanwhile, at the front, TY is right behind Bidzster, giving him a good run for his money. Bidzster, the winner of the sprint race at Brands Hatch Indy, and TY, the winner of the feature race at Brands Hatch Indy. So, two men really battling out for the championship. It's like Bidzster's pulled away a little bit out of Coppice. Slides into the chicane. Have a look at camera rolling back. Let's have a look at TY. Let's see how much ice and snow is covering the whole cars. Let's have a look back. Stevie and Neil. Neil gets onto the sausage curve a bit. Probably loses a little bit of traction on the way out. Still a decent battle for all. There's still quite good battles going down through all the field. Looks like Blakeney was in a bit of trouble back there. Jamo's got ahead. Blakeney has had some kind of issue happen. And Sean, don't know whether that was a move on Keith, but Sean is in 5th place. Keith is in 6th. Blakeney locks up, goes off. James in the Beamer might take now. James is too far back to take advantage. But Blakeney just needs to rein it back in a bit, regain a bit of control of the car. He'll be fine. Meanwhile, at the front, it's only a 10th between Bidzster and TY. This is becoming a real good scrap. Bidzster defends over Coppice, tries to get the power on. TY is right behind, right on the tail of Bidzster, coming down towards the chicane where the old Dunlop Bridge was. TY goes to the outside, Bidzster defends, breaking into the chicane, over the curb. TY tries to take a bit of a squirmy from Bidzster, yet takes the curb a bit too much. Now the Bidzster will have to steer to the right to defend. TY moves to the left, down towards Redgate, battle on the brakes, onto the brakes, see the car's pitched down, into the corner, into Redgate. TY goes up the inside, Bidzster runs a little bit wide, leaves the door open for TY. If TY can get good traction down here, he will be side by side down the crane of curves in the snow. These two mad. And Bidzster manages to retain, I think. Goes to the other side to defend. Is he going to understeer though? No, go decent traction. TY stays behind for now. Good little scrap this. Into Schwantz, which leads into McLean's, still in front. Apologies for resetting the camera there. Into Coppice. Looks like the Bidzster's managed to find a little bit of a gap between them both. TY will be in the draft on the straight, try and close in a bit and make a move in a couple of corners time, I would imagine. Meanwhile, further down the field, gaps are pretty spread. There's at least a second between everyone. Neil's in 3rd, Stevie, Keith, Sean, Jamo, Blakeney and James following up the back. So while Bidzster and TY are a bit more spread out, let's have a look further down, see what's happening. So Neil's in 3rd, there's Neil just coming out of the ship. We can catch up with him eventually. There he is. In 3rd place across the line. Stevie in 4th. Sean in 5th. With Keith right on his tail. Keith's closed up on Sean now. Sean saying in qualifying he was struggling with understeer in the grip, but looks like he's managed to combat a bit of that in the race, which is good. And they're going down to turn 1. Meanwhile, there's only a 10th between Bidzster and TY again as they come into shot for Schwantz. Coming up to McLean's. And the lap 7, so the next lap will be the last lap. So TY's got to make a move if he's going to do it soon. Meanwhile, fastest lap in this race so far goes to TY. Coming down towards the chicane. Onto the brakes. TY's not really going to make a move there. He's not close enough yet, but he's going to try and close up because this is the last lap that we're about to start. We'll stay with this battle for the last lap. Into Redgate. Bidzster runs a bit wide. TY closes up, but then Bidzster manages to get the power down as they come down the crane of curves for the last time. Bidzster sliding around a bit, really trying to be aggressive and make that gap, but you don't want to push too hard. Onto the brakes. Into the old hairpin. It's one corner where you can really slide out wide. You've got to be really careful. That's where the Starkey's Bridge used to be. And they come back into shot for Schwantz. Into McLean's. TY's not close enough. He's not closed the gap up enough. Bidzster has a massive twitch going into there, but manages to recover. I don't think TY is going to be close enough unless Bidzster makes a mistake. Bidzster tries to get the power on. Yeah, I think Bidzster's going to have this if he can not make any mistakes from here. He'll keep it in one piece. So coming down to the last chicane then. Bidzster looks like he's going to win the sprint race again, because he won the sprint race at Brands Hatch India. Oh, a bit of a twitch sideways, trying to get around the corner, and Bidzster wins the sprint race at Donington Park in the snow. First place to Bidzster, second place to TY. Neil will come into shot eventually when the camera sorts itself out. There he is. Neil in third place in the Mercedes. So but two Mercedes on the podium. Stevie, there he is in fourth place. Keith has managed to get past Sean. Keith has managed to get past Sean into the chicane for the last time. Oh, over the curb. Sean has got a good run. Oh, he could have got past then, but he tapped Keith up the back end and said, "Here you go, Keith, I'll give you a little helping hand." Keith in 5th place, Sean 6th, Jamo 7th place in the BMW. And here's Blakeney, 8th place in the McGann. And James soldiering on at the back. Wasn't really happy with the snowy weather in the Beamer. Tried really hard to find a setup. 9th place. So there we are, that's the race from Donington. I'll see you guys again for the feature race.